I've been creating content for over 4 years, and in that time I was able to build a creator business across multiple platforms that gave me time freedom. But I also made countless mistakes and I learned a lot of painful lessons. So in this video I'm going to explain the 24 best lessons that I learned so that you can become a full-time creator much faster than me. The first lesson is to focus on inputs, not outcomes. Because you control your inputs, but you don't control your outcomes. For example, a certain money amount or a certain amount of followers, then you'll be stressed until you get to that point, even though it's not within your control how fast you get it. You can be doing everything right in the inputs, but there can still be a delay between the inputs and the outcomes that you get. So that's why it's really important to focus on what you can do and then just trust the process. Lesson number 2 is to reverse engineer your goals. You need to think about your goals like a chess grandmaster thinks about playing chess. Instead of thinking, what is the next step that I need to take? You need to think, alright, what's the winning position that I'm trying to create? And then you work your way back from there. Because in this way, you ensure that every action step that you take will actually lead you closer to the thing that you want to achieve. So in the case of your goals, you shouldn't ask yourself, what should I do today? You should instead ask yourself, what am I trying to achieve in 5 years from now? And based on that, you need to look at people who have already achieved that. So these are your digital mentors. And then you analyze what skills they have and what habits and actions they perform on a daily basis. Because we just talked about inputs, and these are the inputs that led to their outcomes. So if you want their outcomes, then you need to reverse engineer their inputs so that you know that every action step that you take will actually lead you to the thing that you want to achieve. Lesson number 3 is don't reinvent the wheel. As a creator, you get into the creator economy. And inside of this economy are certain creators that you like. You don't like the entirety of them, but you like, for example, their design skills, their writing skills, their video editing. There's something that you like. So it makes sense to take an aspect from someone that you like and make it part of your own brand in your own unique way. You don't need to reinvent everything by yourself. You can just take different things from different people, give your own unique spin to it, and then turn it into something new. In this way, you take something that resonates with you, that's already proven to work, and you turn it into something new. Lesson number 4. Don't compare yourself to others. There are only 2 people that you should compare yourself with. Your past self and your potential self. They have your exact strengths and weaknesses, so they're the only fair people to compare yourself with. And the goal is to outcompete your past self and to compete with your potential self. Your potential self is the version of you who does everything right. So you want to do your best to become as much as him as you can be. Lesson number 5. Don't obsess over your niche. Your niche evolves over time. You just solve a problem for a specific person and you help them get to a specific outcome. That's everything you do. But you don't need to limit all of your content to this. Because you help your past self. And your past self has much more interests than just this one thing that you're trying to monetize. So just don't stress over it. I used to do that and it cost me years of progress. Just pick the thing that you like right now and it'll evolve over time. If you don't know where to start, then you can create your Ikigai. This is a combination of what you love, what you are good at, what you can get paid for, and what the world needs. And if you've created that, you can turn it into your brand Ikigai, which is a concept that I created based on the Ikigai, because your Ikigai is your reason for being, but your brand Ikigai is your reason for brand. So it's why your brand exists. You can create it by combining the topics that you want to talk about, the skills that you have, the transformation that you help people to achieve, and the bigger purpose behind your brand. If you combine all of these things, then you will be able to create a unique brand that people actually want to follow. Lesson number 6. Leave more comments. This is something that a lot of people overlook at the start, including myself. And because I overlooked it, I wasn't able to grow for months. But here's basically what you need to understand. On most platforms, so Instagram, LinkedIn and Twitter, you need comments to grow at the start. Because you don't really have the organic reach yet. And on YouTube it's easier to get if you have an extremely high quality video. But on the other platforms you need to force eyes on your content first. And you do this by leaving a lot of high quality comments. Because if you leave quality comments, then people will click on your profile. And if your profile is optimized, then some of these people will convert into followers. And then you'll have more people who see your content. One day of leaving comments won't do a lot for you, but if you consistently leave 50 or 100 good comments per day, then you'll definitely get out of the beginner hell a lot faster. Lesson number 7 is to start a newsletter at the start. A social media audience is nice, but you don't own it. And if you get banned, then all of your hard work will have been for nothing. So that's why having a newsletter is really powerful. Social media audiences are rented, but you own your email audience. So when you start creating, you immediately also want to start your newsletter. You don't need to start writing newsletters yet, but you at least want to have a landing page in which they sign up. And you also want to think about the topic of your newsletter. So right now, mine is called the Self-Actualizing Solopreneur, because I try to combine self-actualization and solopreneurship. So this name made sense, and it instantly makes it clear what my newsletter is about. If you want to sign up, you can check the link in the description. It's free. Lesson number 8 is to learn how you can grab and keep attention. Because the creator economy is basically the attention economy. All creators are trying to grab and keep attention. And the way to grab attention is with high quality hooks and intros. So you need to make it clear for people why the content that they're about to consume is valuable to them. And ideally, you want to make them curious as well, so that they want to find out what's going to happen next, so that they keep watching or keep reading your content. And then you keep attention with value, with aesthetic writing, and with storytelling. So value is the information that you give to people. Aesthetic writing is about how you present the information in the case of written content. In the case of videos, it's video editing. Then you want to use storytelling to kind of structure it in such a way that's interesting for people to consume it. Because people learn best through stories. You want to give people a lot of value in your content because people literally pay attention. Attention is a currency and they're giving it to you. So you want to give them a high return on attention. And the best content gives people the highest return on their attention. And it's also important to realize that this return on attention is subjective. Someone who watches Mr. Beast wants to be entertained. So what they want is to get a high return on their attention in terms of entertainment. So they'll view it as a high return on their attention if they get a lot of entertainment from it. But if you're someone like me, then you watch a lot of educational content. For example, someone like Andrew Huberman. He doesn't try to entertain you, because if he would make really entertaining videos, then his core audience wouldn't care. But people who watch his content care about education. So a high return on attention is a lot of valuable information. So you need to get clear on who you want to help and what type of value you want to give to people. Is it inspiration? Is it education? Or is it entertainment? And based on that, you want to give a lot of that in your videos, so that people feel like they get a high return on their attention when they watch your videos. Because this is ultimately what keeps people coming back to your content. Lesson number 9 is to do high leverage tasks. I really like this quote from the Greek philosopher Archimedes. He says, "Give me a lever long enough and a place to stand, and I will move the earth." This illustrates the power of leverage. It's not about doing more, but it's about positioning yourself in a way that what you're doing gives you a much higher outcome. So this visual illustrates it perfectly. You can push with equally as much force in both of these places, but you get a much bigger outcome when you push here instead of here. And a lot of work is also this way. Instead of pushing extremely hard, you first need to figure out where to push. So you need to figure out the high leverage activity, so that you can push here to get a much bigger outcome and a much higher return on the efforts that you're putting in. Lesson number 10 is to create systems. Motivation will help you to do the work when you feel motivated, but systems allow you to always do the work because you have a clear, repeatable process that you can always use to get the outcome that you want. Without systems, this is basically what your process will look like, but once you have a system, it's more like this. So you take a lot of time to create a system once for something that you have to repeat very often, and after that you can just work the system instead of constantly having to think about, alright, what am I going to do, how am I going to approach it, and in which order am I going to do everything. If you constantly need to do that, then it takes a lot of mental energy and you waste a lot of time. So that's why it's really powerful to create systems for recurring activities. It'll save you a lot of time and it will get you much more results. Lesson number 11 is doing deep work. Most people do shallow work. So they do a task for 20 minutes, then they get distracted, then it takes them 20 minutes again to get into the task, then they get distracted again, etc, etc. And as a result, they never really get into flow state and they never really get a lot done because they aren't able to focus for a long period of time. But if you want to get a lot done, then you need to be able to do deep work. So this is where you work for 60 to 120 minutes, usually 90, and you focus on one task. You remove all other distractions and you focus solely on this one thing. And after this period, you take a 10 or 15 minute break to kind of get your attention to catch up, because we have something called attention residue, which basically means that some of your attention lags behind. So you need to give it a time to catch up so that you have all of your attention again for the next task. If you're able to do this, then you're able to focus much better than other people. You'll get a lot more done. Lesson number 12 is to optimize your health. If you're like me, then you're a one-person business. So you literally are the business. So if you're hungover, then your business won't do well because you are the business, and if you can't concentrate or if you feel nauseous or whatever, then you aren't able to perform well and the business won't be able to get forward. So this isn't to say that you can never have fun, but you want to make sure to optimize yourself as much as possible. So ideally you do the right habits for 90% of the time. So for me the most important ones are walking every day, eating clean, meditating daily, exercising daily, getting enough sleep, and getting the right supplements like omega-3, creatine and vitamins. If you get these things and if you avoid a lot of cheap dopamine activities, then you'll be able to get a lot more out of yourself. And as a result, your business will also do a lot better. Lesson number 13 is to don't focus on just the money. It's okay to want money and it's okay to want nice things, but don't make it your main goal because it's something external. And extrinsic motivation never lasts because you either get the thing that you want and your motivation will go away, or you don't get what you want and you'll be frustrated because you don't get the thing that you want. So it's a lose-lose situation. It's okay to want money and to want followers and to want other external things, but you want to be intrinsically motivated because in this way you actually enjoy the work, and the other things like money are just things that you get along the way. You can still enjoy them, but you don't do it for that. You do it for something bigger. So you have a purpose, or you're just really curious about something and you want to keep learning about it. Intrinsic motivation will make the process feel easy and it will still give you the external rewards. But if you only focus on the external things, then the process will feel like a grind. You'll be less likely to get the external things. So make sure you stay intrinsically motivated and the external rewards will also come. Lesson number 14. Don't become a starving artist. This is a mistake that a lot of talented creative people make. They're really good at their craft and they could help a lot of people, but they're unable to sell themselves. And I don't mean in a physical way, but I mean that they're unable to present their ideas in a way that appeals to other people. And as a result, they barely make any money or they don't make any money at all, and they can't do it full time. And as a result, they have to do a shitty job, even though they have a craft that they could easily monetize. The way to get around this is to learn writing, marketing and sales, and to combine that with your craft, so that you have something extremely valuable to give to people, and so that you also know how to communicate the value of this thing to other people. Lesson number 15 is to keep your content simple. When a lot of people start writing online, they have this feeling that they have to write in a really philosophic or really smart way, but as a result, a lot of people don't understand them, or their content gets a lot more complex and harder to consume than it actually should be. So as a rule of thumb, you want to make your content as concise and as simple as possible. You don't want to try to sound like a philosopher, but you want to try to sound like a really smart 8-year-old. Just say things as simple as possible because simplicity is the ultimate profundity. It's not about how complex your ideas are, but it's about how much depth your ideas have. Complexity is usually a sign that someone doesn't understand it themselves. The smartest people communicate profound ideas in a simple manner, because you don't want to try to sound smart, but you want to make your readers and viewers feel smart. Lesson number 16 is to start on one platform. I started on multiple platforms at once, and as a consequence of that, I didn't really get results on any of these platforms. So I did a hard thing and I quit everything except Twitter. And I just started focusing solely on that. And as a result, I got to almost 50k followers in a little less than 2 years. And in that time, I also collected thousands of tweets that did well. So now I had a clear picture of the ideas that did well for me. And now I could start repurposing those to other platforms. And that's exactly what I did. So right now I post on 5 platforms, but I take the ideas that I test on Twitter and then I spread them to all other platforms. And I also write a newsletter, which I break down into smaller content. So let me quickly explain the main idea. You either start with something big, like a newsletter, then you break that up into podcasts, articles and videos, and you break it down even further into threads, carousels and long forms. And then you break it down to the smallest thing, which is tweets, regular posts or shorts. This is how you spread your ideas. So you have a big piece of content and you break it down into smaller ones. Or if you aren't sure how a piece of content will perform, then you can test ideas instead. So then you start with a tweet, and if it doesn't do well, then you stop writing about it. But if it does do well, then you can turn it into a thread or a podcast or a newsletter. So you can either spread your ideas if it already did well, or you can test your ideas to see if it will do well. Lesson number 17 is about dealing with haters. You basically have a few different options when you get a hate comment. You can either reply to them, which is almost always the worst option that you have, because you can either get mad at them, which is bad, or you can explain why you're actually right and why they aren't, which is also bad because you waste a lot of time and they usually won't change their mind. Haters basically try to bring you down to their level because they can't get to yours. Whoever is trying to bring you down is already below you, so just don't reply to them, just ignore them or block them if it really bothers you. These are always the best replies because you have a limited amount of mental energy every day, and replying to hate comments just isn't worth your energy. Lesson number 18 is to work in high energy periods. So you want to track your energy levels for a day or for a few days, so that you have an idea of when you're at your most energetic. So for me, I notice that I have my most energy in the morning and sometimes a little bit in the evening or afternoon, but almost always in the morning. Then I have a big energy crash, and in the evening it's also not good. So I try to do my most important tasks in the morning, so that I already get the most important things done at the start of the day when I'm at my best. Because the most frustrating thing there is trying to do important work when you have low energy levels. So identify when you're at your best and then do the most important stuff at that time. Lesson number 19 is that you don't need to be perfect. If you're trying to be perfect, then you will fail a lot because you can never be perfect all the time. And as a result, you'll be frustrated when you try to be perfect and you aren't able to do it. But if you instead try to be consistent, so if you show up every day as much as you can show up that day, then you'll be able to do it every single time. And you'll be a lot less frustrated. Lesson number 20 is to don't wait for clarity. You can't wait for clarity because it usually won't come. Instead, you need to take a lot of action first, because you can only get clear on what you need to do by taking a lot of action first. You work to collect all of the dots, and then you reflect on the work to connect the dots, so that you clearly see what you should actually be doing, and so that you clearly take the lessons that you learned from your experiences. Lesson number 21 is to productize your knowledge. I didn't come into the creator economy to do client work forever, so if you're similar to me, then you need to find a way to disconnect your time from your income. And the way to do this is by productizing your knowledge. So let's say you start out by doing consulting. You have a lot of consulting clients, and every single time you help them, they have certain problems that need to be solved, and you take a certain process with them. The goal is to turn this process into a digital product that's really high quality, so that it instantly takes people from where they are to the outcome that they want, without you having to be involved, because you already recorded all of the videos and gave them all of the necessary resources. This is how you disconnect your time from your income, and this is how you make a lot of money without having to spend a lot of extra time every single time you explain it to someone. If you want my complete process on this, so that you can start selling high quality courses on autopilot, check out the Productize knowledge course in the description. Lesson number 2 is to pivot, don't quit. When you find out that what you're doing isn't leading you to the thing that you want to do, then you don't need to quit entirely, but you just need to change your course. So you need to rethink your strategy again. Where do you want to go, and what path would you like to take to there? Because there are a lot of different paths that you haven't taken, but in the future there are a lot of different paths that you can take again. So you need to get clear again on where you want to go to, then you need to take a new path that leads to there. And this image illustrates that really well. Lesson number 23 is to not listen to big creators all the time. Big creators have a lot of good wisdom and you should apply a lot of it, but they aren't necessarily the ones that can help you the best. Because if someone grew 5 years ago, the algorithm was really different. It was usually much easier to grow back then. So they can't necessarily tell you everything you need to know to grow really fast. So it's also useful to learn from people who are a few steps ahead instead of 100 steps ahead. Because these people actually did the thing that you want to do much more recently. So they have advice and insights that the big creators don't have for you. So it's usually best to learn the strategies and the big picture vision from the big creators, than to learn the tactics and more practical stuff from the mid-sized creators. Lesson number 24 is to use the EDO system. This is a system that I use when I need to make a decision for my business. At first, I ask myself, is it high leverage or not? If it's not high leverage, and if it also isn't necessary, then I try to eliminate it. But if it is high leverage, then I see, alright, do I enjoy it or do I not enjoy it? If I don't enjoy it, I try to delegate it or to outsource it to someone. And if I do enjoy it, then I try to optimize the process with systems so that I can easily repeat it. This is a simple system, but it definitely helps to determine what you should do and how you should do it. So these are the best lessons. If you want more of my help, check out the links in the description. But I hope this was helpful, and if you want to learn how to get 10k followers on Twitter extremely fast, check out this video next. It explains the best Twitter growth strategies that I used and that more than 70 of my clients also use to grow extremely fast on Twitter.